Welcome to 31 Days of Horror 2015. And yes, I'm doing it again. I have told you before that I would do it, and here I am. October 1st, first movie. I am trying to watch 31 horror movies I have never seen before over the course of the 31 days of October. First movie is a sequel. It is something that shouldn't work, but somehow does. And that is the sequel to Sleepaway Camp, Return to Sleepaway Camp. This is the 2008 film. Got the DVD here. It's actually the first film since the original Sleepaway Camp, directed by Robert Hiltzik, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He wrote and directed the film. And Sleepaway Camp had 2 sequels prior to this and almost had a 4th, I believe. And essentially it's one of those, summer camp movies, murder on the loose type thing. The nice thing about this with the return to Sleepaway Camp is not only is the writer-director returning from the original film, but he actually brought along some of the actors from the first film, who many, you wouldn't, well, I don't know that too many people from the Sleepaway Camp movie really went anywhere after that. I'm sure, they did movies, but nobody really made it big. So there are a few, not just one, not just 2, but there are a few actual returning cast members from the original Sleepaway Camp, which is awesome. I won't, tell you who they are, because, I'll leave that as a surprise. You watch the film, you see them, you're like, hey, there's that. Well, if you remember Sleepaway Camp, you have to remember, Sleepaway Camp was early 80s, I'd like to say 83. So with Return to Sleepaway Camp, that's like 2008. You do the math, right? That's a long time. So yeah, people age quite a bit in 25 years. So yeah, it's one of those films that it shouldn't work, but at the same time it does. I honestly can say that I enjoyed the film. It's not a great film. It's not even I wouldn't say it's a good film, but it's enjoyable. The acting is terrible, but it's weird. It's so terrible, like, across the board, but it's not that that Hollywood trying to make it as an actor I've been doing it for a long time bad. This is just sort of like a lot of over the top, a lot of like poorly delivered lines, poorly done in general, and they let it go. But because everybody's sort of like on the same level, it actually kind of works. It's almost, you almost think that it's done on purpose, but I find it hard to believe that somebody could get so many no-name actors who could pull off this level of bad performances, like over the top, to such cohesive level. It would that would be like some stroke of genius. Honestly, it's kind of, if you're a good actor, it's hard to act bad without coming off as acting bad instead of bad acting. It's if I had 2 video clips, I would love to show you, but it's hard to describe. One is clearly done on purpose. The other one is just it's not, and that's the big difference between them. So yeah, it's got a bunch of no names. Essentially, there's nobody in this cast except for a couple names who you may recognize. One is the head camp owner, counselor type person, and that's Vincent Pastore, who you'll recognize him as soon as you see him, and he's done a lot of stuff, but really, I think his claim to fame, if you will, is from Sopranos. He played the role of, what do you call it, Pussy? Yeah, I think his name was Pussy. That's the only way I remember him as. And so, yeah, Pussy, yeah. So yeah, you'll recognize him right off the bat. Another one who, unfortunately, he doesn't have... It's too bad. He isn't used enough. And that's Isaac Hayes. This is essentially like his last film. Even though I think it was shot like 5 years before he actually died. I believe this is like the last film that he was really ever in. And he had a decent role in it and get this, the role of chef. Those who know will get the joke. And oddly enough, he's probably one of the best, like he's the best actor in the film, really. And it's such a small part, which totally sucks. But yeah, he's the camp chef, and he's in there, and then he's gone, and that's it. You hardly ever see him, which is very, very unfortunate. Because yeah, like I said, he's awesome. But yeah, why did I like Return to Sleepaway Camp? Honestly, it's very campy. Pardon the pun. And I would like to say that the kills are all great, but they aren't. The first two are exactly what I expected, and I would have loved to have more of that. The next couple or so are kind of lame, like really lame. And then you get a couple that are kind of in the middle as you get closer. But really, the best kills are at the beginning, the two at the beginning, and then there's maybe one or two later on that are decent. But yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. It's like, I don't know why the first two kills were so good compared to the others. Like, did they run out of budget? Did they run out of ideas? Like, I mean, the rest of them, many of them seem very cliche, if you will. And the two really bad ones, they don't really make much sense. Yeah. They don't, no sense whatsoever. Which is kind of why they sucked. And I'm not going to give anything away, but yeah, I don't know. The kills could have been better overall, but at the same time, there were still a couple of good ones. A couple of not standard kills. A lot of very standard kills. And there's one that was actually, it was kind of different. Yeah, I don't know. It's I should not like this movie. It's like I said, it's so bad. It's bad acting. There's just so much about this. It's terrible. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. Maybe it's because I'm a fan of Sleepaway Camp. Maybe I'm a fan of in general, like killers at summer camp type thing, the Friday the 13th, the Sleepaway Camps, that kind of stuff. I enjoy those films, and you know what? I even enjoy like this, the comedies, the meatballs and stuff like that. Those type of things revolving around summer camp. They're fun. And maybe that's it. I don't know, because I mean, there are some anybody who's been to camp will, and I had this problem. It's the camp here is very dysfunctional. the counselors, I honestly I couldn't tell who, for the most part, who was a counselor, who was a camper for a lot of them, because a lot of these people seemed really old to be at summer camp. There were like groups of them that were like in high school, and some that seemed like they might have been in university, and then obviously there's the younger people, but I would have expected a lot more younger people. They weren't there, which was odd. And then the people who I thought were counselors, for the most part, were acting a lot like the campers, and you know, like picking on people, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know what, if counselors were acting like that, they'd be fired. Like they don't act like that simply because they don't want to lose their job. And it was just very dysfunctional summer camp. And I mean, I get why it's like that, because it's part of the, you know, the plot and the misdirection and the you know, trying to create a killer, if you will, based off of the events taking place at this camp. But yeah, it's I'm just like, there's no, maybe one or two instances would happen. You get incidents where people would pick on somebody or make fun of somebody or like physically harm or degrade somebody, but not over and over and over and over and over again. And you know what, people would not be joining in, counselors would not be joining in and laughing and participating in these things. It wouldn't happen. But it does in this movie. So yeah, there's I mean, one of the characters is clearly made to be really, really annoying. And, you know, they attribute it to, you know, he's got a, you know, a little upstairs. So you get that, and everybody picks on him and such. But yeah, the events that are taking place before people are getting killed, mind you, just wouldn't be allowed. But at the same time, you don't care because you're watching a Sleepaway Camp movie. So you just go, whatever, okay, these people are assholes. And I mean, everybody is. And I think that's one of the reasons why it works, is everybody. Right up, you know, like Vincent Pastore's, you know, head counselor owner character is an asshole. There's like two characters in this who aren't. And that's sort of like the caring male counselor and the caring female counselor. And those are the only two, you know, people who are really nice. And everybody else is, you know, varying degrees of arsehole. So, you know, and it's all part of the misdirection and trying to, you know, make you think certain people may be the killers, maybe not the killers, maybe going to get killed, maybe not going to get killed, who's doing what, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's all part of that. And, yeah, I don't know. Have you seen Return to Sleepaway Camp? And what did you think? Again, you know, post down below, but no spoilers, because you know what? That would just ruin it. And nobody wants to have their camp ruined. Well, because it's so much fun. Even when you're dying? I got nothing. Return to Sleepaway Camp. First one on my 31 Days of Horror 2015. Till next video, stay alive. And enjoy camp. Or something. I don't know. Take care. Have a good one.